Hello and welcome to the Hume podcast from and Lowell. For those of you who don't know us, Hume is a recruitment training business co-founded by myself, Ed Khan, and Laura Hopes.
And each week we're going to be giving you 10-minute snippets into our world of recruitment, tips and tricks to help you on your journey as an agency recruiter, and hopefully some laughs along the way too. We hope you guys enjoy.
This week's episode on a subject which we're not sure if we've already covered, so we might be rehashing off ground. So if you've had this subject before from us,
just
switch off.
I genuinely don't think we've covered it. KPIs.
KPIs.
Give you a second to switch off now. I think we've touched on it in a previous episode, but I don't think we've spoken about it in any depth and how passionate we both are about KPIs. And I just cannot fathom businesses that advertise themselves as KPI-free environments.
Yeah, it's madness to me.
It is madness to me because that is basically like saying we have zero guideline in our business of how you do a good job.
Yeah, of how you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
We don't know, so just do whatever you can.
We don't know how to help you create efficiencies. We don't know where you're losing productivity, but if you can hit this number, fine.
Yeah, it's madness.
It is madness to me. I am so passionate about this, I could get ranty on this subject.
It is though, and you see more and more agencies sort of hanging their head on it like a show of pride. Like, we don't have KPIs. I'm like, that's horrific. Especially, and we've trained 150 recruiters this year, rookie recruiters, and you hear from some of them that they have no KPIs. I'm like, even more madder? Is madder a word? More mad. It's more madder. But it is, you've got all these rookies, they don't know the job. Meanwhile, their agency's got no KPIs in place. And the rookie's sitting there going, I don't fucking know what's going to make me successful. This is my first role in recruitment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the chances of those rookies being successful when they don't really know what leads to success?
Yeah. Because this job's a real mix, isn't it? Like it's quality over quantity all the time. But like any position, in any field, you know, your level of input contributes or is solely related to your output. And so if you don't know what you should be putting in, how do you know what you're going to get out? Now, where I do think recruitment agencies go really wrong with KPIs is when there is a standardised, no flexibility approach to KPIs, i.e., on a weekly basis, week in, week out, over the course of a year, whether you're a junior or a senior consultant, you need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That I don't agree with, but where I see agencies use KPIs really well and be really smart with it is taking that real kind of holistic approach to being like, you know, okay, and for your experienced consultants, it's like, okay, this is, you know, this is your job fill ratio.
Yeah.
And this is your average deal value. What do you want to build next quarter? Okay, well, based on that, you need to pick this amount of work up.
Work backwards.
What contributes to you know, how many phone calls or how many meetings do you need to make to pick up that level of work, and working it backwards so that it's this real holistic approach.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're not usually tailored in those larger agencies. It is everyone, if they're doing a marketing desk, they're doing an admin desk, they're doing a senior finance desk, they've all got the same KPIs, and that is not the way to go.
No.
And it has to be tailored. I was talking to a candidate yesterday, actually, lovely candidate.
What's their name?
I can't say, I've got him out on interview. Imagine he was listening and I'm like, I've got him out on interview.
When I said it, I was like, oh my god, if he tells me, then we're going to have to start this whole episode again.
No, but he was telling me he's a year and a half in, 2 years into his recruitment career, and he's been told he has to do 5 client meetings. A week, which isn't awful and definitely doable and a really good KPI for the right desk. And he's in an area, and he used to be in, I can't say too much because I don't want anyone to work out who this person is, but he's in a sector where the client base absolutely hate face-to-face meetings. They won't do them. They're completely pointless in his space. They just won't agree to meeting unless they've got a candidate to present. And so he's sitting there going, I can organise all these meetings, but every time I go, everyone's like, do you have any candidates? This is a waste of our time. They're so time poor. And so he's like, this KPI doesn't work for me. They'll all take Zoom meetings, they'll do phone calls, but until we've got a candidate, I cannot get in front of them. They don't want it. And when I do get out there with no candidate, they're annoyed. And he used to be a leader in that field, so he knows the space. But even the fact that he knows the space, has worked in it, and he's pushing back on the business, it's like, no, 5 client meetings a week. Don't care how much you're billing. And so he's like, I'm billing. It doesn't make any sense to him. I'm like, of course it doesn't. It's fucking madness. And that's why he's coming out to me and we're putting forward to another client.
Yeah, because there's nothing personalised about it. And I also think you do, like I would set KPIs with people over a quarter as a benchmark of what's going to get them to where they want to go. I don't hold them to that. And what I mean by that is, if someone's working 10 jobs, but they haven't done their client meetings, but they got the work on, so they don't need to do the client, you know, like that you also have to be, because where I often hear people complaining about their KPIs and you know, rightly so, it's like, I've now got 10 jobs I'm working, why should I be doing business development calls this week? Now, there is obviously a need for consistency for pipelining. You can't have, you know, 10 roles on and not do any BD for a month, but there does have to be this give and take of looking at what you have on, what you're likely to fill, and what you need to do to keep that pipeline running. And I think this is where agencies could be so much smarter with this, is really tailoring it to work with people strategically because they're running their own business. We have KPIs in Hume Scope.
And I think that's the thing, it's for tracking and going, what actually works for me, because it will be different. You convert clients very differently to how I convert clients. It's very different, therefore our KPIs need to be very different. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if they're not tracking it, how do you look back on a quarter and go, okay, self-assess and tell me what's worked, so you can actually come up with new KPIs for your following quarter. We know you've done 50 client meetings the last 3 months. You've only converted 2 clients through client meetings, but when you've sent 10 specs, you've had 10 interviews, so maybe we need to rejig what your KPIs are.
Where
but if
you're
you're not
your
doing that, you don't get the end result, and so all of a sudden it's a stick on the head and going, do more, and it's like, this is madness.
Make any sense. And you know, running a recruitment desk is running your own business. So would you adapt in your business? Absolutely. Imagine if we'd have done, imagine if we genuinely have done this subject before, but it's like literally the same episode. like recruitment,
word for word.
Recruitment robots. Like we've just got one setting. We'll find out. I mean, we should have checked rather than just pressing record. But I could genuinely. And then conscious of
Hopefully
time.
we've done, okay, we're 10 minutes in, I reckon. Hopefully we've not done this episode before.
And I could talk about this for another hour, but we won't.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.